Noisy Pixel.
It seems that open world games like to create these large areas and fill them with countless things to do. While this is fine and all, I can't help but feel overwhelmed when exploring them or trying to progress the story. Everything about these games feels like I'm racing against a clock to get through them. Well, Square Enix's newest game is shaping up to present an open world that takes a step back from overwhelming the player and instead finds a way to encourage players to take on the grand adventure on their own time. This is Noisy Pixel's preview for Dragon Quest Builders 2. Dragon Quest Builders 2 throws the player into a grand quest headfirst as they take on the role of a builder. Basically, players will be put on a map and the game pretty much says, here's the world, create. While this might seem a little forced, what makes this approach work is how the developers have opened up the possibility for players to take things on at their own pace. Going somewhere that you shouldn't be isn't that big of a problem when there isn't really a consequence for death. Failures in this game are often encouraged in the first hours of gameplay as it introduces new mechanics and features. The way the story handles these is through missions that walk the player through collecting items, building houses, and eating. These three actions are used constantly throughout the game in one way or another and will steadily get more complicated. However, Dragon Quest Builders 2 seems to trust the player enough to complete these tasks and goals without the need of a timer or any real urgency at all. In other ways, Dragon Quest Builders 2 rewards the players who don't rush through the game's missions. Exploring areas not required to go to will provide players with secret puzzles. Similarly, grinding levels will unlock new weapons and abilities. The first 10 hours can easily be turned into 20 depending on what the players do. During my time with the opening act, I always felt like I had something to do or complete every minute of my time playing. Whether it was my own personal goal of building complicated houses or small side missions for the townspeople, I never felt lost regardless of how big the island became. Dragon Quest Builders 2 has plenty of features for newcomers if ever they feel unsure about what to do next. That's not to say that the game doesn't get difficult, but the steady increase in difficulty is also accompanied by the player's personal pacing through the game. This shows some great steps forward in terms of game design and delivering a balanced open world adventure. What's even more interesting is how the developers have created a narrative around these features and made everything flow naturally as you go about growing crops and creating different house types. It's rare to find a game that can boast such a large experience but also allow the player to take their time and experience it at the speed that they wish. In the first island of Dragon Quest Builders 2, I was wildly impressed with the hands-off approach to letting players learn things on their own while also offering a more detailed explanation of missions for anyone who might require it. As I head forth to a new island in the game, I'll be looking forward to how the game handles late game missions and how new materials change the way of building and exploring. As for the opening hours of Dragon Quest Builders 2, I appreciate not feeling overwhelmed or lost in an open world game for once, and the fact that this world has the tasteful Dragon Quest flavor added to it makes it all the better. Dragon Quest Builders 2 releases on PlayStation 4 on July 12th. Thank you for watching. Please read the full preview at noisypixel.net. NoisyPixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.